I think one of the problems when we arrived at this mass infantilization of the West is because it created the nuclear family in the early 1800s. And it's only Western, and it's only modern and very recent. There are no nuclear families in any other cultures, I can assure you that. It was simply the splitting up of the village. Mm-hmm. And the splitting up of the village made us more frustrated, and we get more frustrated, we also get more productive. It was the arrival of capitalism inside of farming. Huh. If you always have the tit at all times, how the fuck is any meaning ever going to occur to you? Because there's no journey for you. There's no growing up. And there's no time when you come back and you have a tit to give to somebody, meaning you're a grown-up woman, or you're a man supporting and protecting a woman and giving her the resources so she can have that tit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
That is exactly what the phallic intrusion is about. What we envy from our parents when we see their grown-up genitalia when we're 1 year old is not to have that genitalia, but it's that the genitalia represents being a grown-up who now can support himself or herself and even create an abundance. And that's what the tit represents. And that abundance can then be given to a child so that the cycle of life can continue. So a new generation can be born and bred and one day take over. Mm-hmm. This has to be the fundament of ethics. So ethics is not about good and evil. It's about growing up.
It's about growing up. And it's about encouragement and criticism, both,
Yeah. Well, the thing is that we only need the magical gaze the first year of our life. That sort of unrecruited love, we only need it the first year of our life, because after that, the phallic gaze takes over, and it takes over the entire horizon. Precisely because the phallic gaze, the fatherly gaze, is the gaze that both teaches you how hard reality is.
Yeah.
It teaches you what you've done, explains to you what you just done so you get it, explains how you can improve on it the next time you do it.
Yeah.
And also points you towards whether this is your archetype or not, like saying you got talent for this.
Yeah. So that's male. I would say that's male compassion, isn't it? It's or phallic compassion, whatever you want.
Well, it's a grown-up compassion.
Grown-up compassion is deeply kind, but it's
yeah. Well, your mother can be.
It doesn't feed you a dream. It doesn't give you a dream. It gives you a taste of reality.
Yeah, and what we call it the phallic gaze is not that exclusively belongs to men, although men are supposed to be good at this, right? What we attach it to the phallic, because we already have preoccupied our entire imagination onto the matrix where we came from, the womb, and onto the mother that fed us the first year, and we haven't seen anything else. Mm-hmm. It's not that the female body is unsupported us. It's that we completely allowed the female body to play the first of the two acts of the drama. Mm-hmm. So that's done its job. Mm-hmm. Meaning for a girl, it can be what she attempts to be one day when she wants the phallus inside of her. Yeah. Okay? The phallic gaze then is the empty space that can take on the second act of the drama. That's exactly why we attach it to the male body, and we expect men to be phallic. We expect men to deliver the phallic gaze. And if not our father, then we go to the grandfather, we go to the older man or the elderly. And the elderly definitely has that phallic gaze. And we even think that he has a father who's died.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Father, that's God. That's the origin of religion. So we look at God being represented today by the elderly man, and we go to the elderly man, say the grandfather, and we ask him for advice. And he will then redirect us into reality and say, this is what you're good at. This is what you should do. This is how hard you have to work on it. And if you do that, you can one day be like me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
That is the journey from the infantile towards the grown-up we all need to do. And one day, maybe we can go even beyond the grown-up state. And that's when we'll be the elderly. We've lived a full life and we still have a few years left. And that's when we become wise men and wise women. And those are the patriarchs and the matriarchs. Mm-hmm. The leaders have left the reproduction cycle. They're beyond adult. We even give them a kind of divine sheen, right? So they're there ready to go to them because they have no self-interest left in anything they do. Mm-hmm. They can even point to the man to go out there and support and protect the woman so the woman can give birth to the child and then breastfeed that child the first year.
Again, that's definitely one of the characteristics of an infantilized society is, well, lacking.
To begin with, the tribe is gone. The tribe contains the
elders are gone, is what I wanted to say.
The elders are gone, yeah. It's youth worship. Okay, so I think the tragedy of the West started in the 1950s because we've basically killed 70 million men in the Second World War, and the First World War did the damage to their parents in turn. So there were 2 generations of men lost, meaning the detrimental damage to society is that there are no fathers to teach the sons to be sons and to then be fathers, right? So that was gone. After 1945, what then took over was that America was from the very beginning a very infantile dream of endless expansion. What I point out to this is that in 1492, the world doubled in size. Columbus discovered America, and the Americans discovered the Earth.
Went like this, right?
And suddenly we have the communication between these worlds, and the world expanded immensely. Now, the Americans then dreamed, if this was imagine it was your European father was Columbus, right? And you're an American kid, you're his son. So you have an American dream that you're going to expand endlessly as well. Well, the American expansion stopped with Hawaii in 1959. That was their Palestine, their Tibet, okay? So America stopped expanding, and beyond that, there was no place to expand. So what did they do? They went through the roof. They went into space. Now, look at the moon landing in 1969. Look at the difference between the moon landing in 1969, Discover America in 1492. Discover America in 1492, unify the world and double it in size. That's a pretty amazing thing to happen. Certainly the biggest thing to have happened for thousands of years. The moon landing, what happened? You sent a few guys off to the moon, a place where human beings should not be to begin with, because they can't even survive there. Not even with their astronaut dresses on. You know, their bodies deteriorate in no time at all. They all got more or less, you know, psychiatrically deceased when they got back. That's why we don't saw the astronauts on TV doing talk show interviews after they got back. The problem, they're more or less freaked out, all of them. So they came back to planet Earth, and did we go back to the moon after 1969? No. Why? Because it's useless. There's nothing there. That is exactly.
I guess that's the point where America started to slide, right at that point.
Yes.
When they got on the moon.
And why did they want to go to the moon in the first place? Because they were little boys. They came out of the 1950s when we celebrated the teenager as the ideal of what it means to be human. The sexually active boy, or a young man or young girl for that matter, who instantly gets gratification, everything he does. Everything about 1950s culture, Americana, teenage culture was about ice creams and candy and coming. Pornography starts there, right? So it's all about coming. I mean, no. I'm going to get everything I want. I'm going to get it now. And because I'm 18 or 19 years old, I'm at the peak of my life. No wonder the Chinese interpretation of that in the 1960s was the Cultural Revolution, which is exactly the other side of the coin. If you look at the American teenager, and thankfully America didn't have it, China got it, was the Cultural Revolution, was the celebration of the teenager, which in China went to such an extreme because authority worship was so strong in Chinese culture that when it finally turned around with Mao Zedong, the young went out and killed their own parents on a massive scale. That is the real tragedy. When the teenager believes that he's at the peak of life and he gets everything. Today's social justice warriors. I'm 23 years old. I've got an Instagram account and I know everything and everybody should listen to me because I'm the wise woman now. No, you're not. You're a child and you know nothing. This is the tragedy with the digital so far, that it's been dominated by the younger generation. They first jumped onto new technologies and they instantly thought of MySpace and Facebook and Instagram as this is our time to shine. The parents have to learn from us now because we get digital and they don't. But learning the technology wasn't the point. Opening a Facebook account, you'll learn that in minutes. Now, using that account wisely, even to your own advantage, even more so to the advantage of your team, to the advantage of your family, to the advantage of your tribe or your subculture, that takes effort. That takes knowledge. That takes years of experience. And we're only now beginning to grasp how we should use digital. And it's still full of people who think it's about marketing yourself. It's about throwing yourself at people. It's about getting in the way. Why are these marketing departments frustrated with us installing ad blockers? Why don't they learn? We don't want them. Advertising is rape. It's rape. We call it spam for a reason. We hate it. Stop advertising then. I don't want you. I want to learn myself to find what I need online. And I've got algorithms to help me get there. And if the algorithms become dirty, if the algorithms get influenced by the advertising, if that's what Google search is doing eventually, then we're going to leave Google too. And we need to find search engines that are completely cleansed from advertising. It's a bit like, make sure you have sex without rape being involved in it, right? It's a bit like that. Because we're tired of the raping that's been done to us by consumer society, by the marketing departments of these companies, who can't take no for an answer. And they go after us all the time. They got to stop doing that.
Speaking of rape, there's been, let's say in the West, with all these gurus, we mentioned Osho, but there's been literally maybe 100 male gurus who have been pretty much taken out by the culture, and many of them have been accused of rape and that sort of thing, and many of them have been purporting to teach Tantra and that sort of thing. So what the hell's going on?
Okay, it's easy to understand. Number one, because we're lacking parents so much, we start applying parenthood and all kinds of roles where it doesn't belong. Okay, we think of teachers as role models. Mm-hmm. They're not. Okay, I'll give you this option. Do you want to learn something? Okay, if you want to learn something, do you prefer to have a role model teacher who's mediocre at teaching? Or do you prefer to have a mad teacher who's good at teaching you?
Oh, I go for madness every time, but that's just
called,
me.
That's called, no, that's not just you. It's called crazy wisdom.
Yeah, crazy wisdom. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But how can you have crazy wisdom in the internet age when everybody has a camera on you and that sort of thing? And how do you distinguish between who's the real lunatic and who's the real crazy wisdom?
Well, either we're going to have perfect politicians who are absolutely useless, or we have human beings as politicians who are brilliant at doing politics.
Yeah.
That's why we voted for Donald Trump. And the more they accuse him of not being perfect, the better he gets. I've become a bigger Donald Trump fan by the day.
Yeah.
I hate perfection. I hate perfection with a passion, because the perfect teacher is a useless teacher. If you expect your teacher to replace your parents because you didn't believe in your parents, you didn't respect them, to be a role model for, again, it's instant gratification. If I just copy him, I'm fine. Yeah. No. The teacher should be ruthless to you. I prefer to have a teacher as an alcoholic asshole.
Yeah.
Because I think he's a much better teacher. Because I actually think he's really devoted about the teaching, because he's failed himself applying the teaching onto his own life. Because then he's more passionate about it. Like, what I did not achieve, maybe you can do. That's a good teacher. Mm-hmm. That's called crazy wisdom in the East. And we need to understand that concept in the West. Because if we don't forgive people for not being human, they will never learn anything, and we cannot allow ourselves to be human. This is why the teenage rebellion has failed us. Because if the teenage rebellion works, you learn from your parents. Your parents are not gods. Your parents are human. Your parents have failed at their own values. Your parents cannot live up to their own values. That's exactly the point with the teenage rebellion. It prepares you for the initiation ritual so that you can allow yourself to be human and not try to be some kind of god. Because the God is the child's fantasy of what it's like to be grown up when you don't have sexuality yet. The little boy, past the little boy's penis, dreaming about what it's like to have the grown-up man's penis, has no idea what it's like to have the grown-up man's penis. Meaning when he fantasizes about it, he fantasizes about some kind of perfection. This is the problem with Platonism. This is the problem with the boy pharaohs of Egypt. This was the problem with Adolf Hitler. Our whole history is full of boys dreaming what it's like to be man. They have no idea. And we expect your parent to be your teacher, good Freudian slip there. We expect your teacher to be your parent, your perfect parent, meaning a role model. You forget about the whole point of teaching. The point of teaching is you.
The point of teaching is to challenge you and so that you can learn, right? So
you can learn and be at least, an improvement on the previous generation, which is the whole point with civilization. Which the teacher hopes for you that, look at me, I'm miserable, I'm a drunk, I fuck the wrong people, I do the wrong things, but at least that made me learn. And I've learned the hard way that I could have done better. So learn from me. Let me teach you. Learn from me how I did my life. so that you can improve on it. The whole point of writing things down or writing books is for people to say, I tried, I did it this way. This is what worked, this is what didn't work. And what didn't work, maybe you can make work the next generation.
Yeah. It seems that today you can't have any faults or something. It's like,
no, it's just the beginning of digital.
it's
It was still in the
disgusting. It's like,
infantile stage of
yeah.
digital. We're still in a very early stage of digital. So
Well,
everybody.
how are we going to get over this virtue signaling political? I mean, all of this sort
it's
of
gonna implode on us.
mob attacking of people, and
It will die in its own. It will die on its own. We will discover that it's fucking death worship. It's just death worship. It's worship of perfection. It's a childish fantasy of what you're gonna be like if you're human. This whole like, as soon as a politician makes a mistake, they must go. What you're gonna end up with a really lousy set of politicians, aren't you? Because you're going to end up with these perfect people who have no idea how to do politics, and they're going to be really awful at what they should have been good at, which is doing politics. Why don't you concentrate on the political skill? Why do you focus on the private lives of politicians? You're focusing on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I prefer an alcoholic drug addict as president, as long as he's good at being president, because I think he'll be much better president than
Perfect. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say. Is there's this intolerance towards eccentricity, or some sort of, as you say, like ideal human. You have to be this ideal human in every moment, and you end up being this completely plastic being, or.
Yeah, it's like,
I trust people who are flawed as well, or who are
exactly
a little bit nuts, or a little bit, a little bit wild, that haven't completely tamed their ego to the point where they always have the right thing to say, and they're just sort of a talking head.
This phenomenon in America is called the preacher in the whorehouse. Okay, so you find the preacher in the whorehouse with his pants down. You know what? After you've exposed him in the whorehouse, if you really did listen to him after that happened, he'd finally be a good preacher. Incredible.
Yeah.
But he was the wrong preacher before you found him in the whorehouse, because he was a hypocrite and he was preaching.
Oh yeah, because his mind was full of dirt. Whereas after he had that experience, maybe he became.
So what we do in contemporary society is, when we find the preacher in the whorehouse, what we do constantly, we fire him. He can no longer be the preacher. God, big mistake. Big mistake, because you're going to replace it with a preacher who is so castrated he can't even imagine going to whorehouse. Do you think he's going to be a good preacher because of that? He's going to be awful at it, because you're mistaking one thing for the other. I love humans.
Yeah. Well, the old Tibetan stories.
I love alcoholics. I love whores. I love the executioners. I love the miserable people. Anybody that the rest of the tribe are pushing out to the outskirts of the tribe, almost out of the tribe, they're the most interesting people today. These are my friends. I'm one of them. These are the people we need to listen to today, because you're going to end up in a position where all these perfect people that we've elected as politicians, and we chose them to be our preachers, and we put, in the churches. My God, you put all these perfect people in there. That's exactly why the church is dying today. Catholic Church can still be saved. Protestantism is dead and over, because Protestantism was the first place where you only allowed perfect people to preach, allowing the preaching itself to be mediocre and really bad and stupid. That's exactly why Protestant Christianity is the least interesting religion on the planet today, and the first one to die when digital hits us. Because it's full of mediocrity. Mediocrity is the enemy of mankind, not evil. Mediocrity.
Well, the Catholic Church seems to be full of pedophiles and stuff like that.
Well, once they've cleaned that, they've got one thing speaking for them. And I'm interested in Catholicism, and the team I work with, we're going to start working with Catholics soon as they clean out the pedophile priests, because, again, that's, a misunderstanding. It's just like, why did you let people into the church in the first place who weren't heterosexual men who were sacrificing something, meaning celibacy? Because that was a pretty good idea. Oh, we live in a society where nobody can sacrifice anything any longer, but then you better fold the church. Because you don't have any priest in that case. That is the beginning of tantric. The ultimate tantric is the priest who says, I'm not going to have sex at all, because I'm going to be a great priest. That's Catholic tantra for you. Now, if
I suspect also that there is a Catholic tantra.
That is Catholic tantra. It's put
I didn't mean to put Catholicism on the spot particularly.
So crazy wisdom is the other aspect of Tantra we need to learn and understand. And I tell you what, every tantric guru on the planet is probably being accused now after Me Too, because Me Too has just gone absolutely lunatic.
Yeah.
The vast majority of accusations made during Me Too were false, made by mad women, resentful mad women who fantasized and made up stories about men and were not held accountable for it. At least in Sweden where I live, they're all being brought to court now. And the court cases are just massive. These women are sent off to jail now in Sweden because they were liars all along and we all believed them. The older women weren't listened to. The older women said all along about Me Too, wait a second, these 23-year-old girls with Instagram accounts, they're full of bullshit and they're liars. The vast majority of them are just lying, making high on their own power, right? So we need to, of course, all the tantric gurus were accused. I would say half of the tantric gurus are completely innocent. Another quarter of the tantric gurus the accusations are wildly overdone. Just because you slept with a 17-year-old, and today we can't even handle sex between teenagers in our society. That's how fucked up we are, because teenagers are supposed to have sex with each other, okay? We can't even handle that. It's like, you cannot have sex or think about sex before you're 18. Sorry, that's not how biology works. I jerked off when I was 10, okay? That was 8 years of hell if I wasn't allowed to have a sex life. So, okay, so that's wrong. But then sure, you got the assholes in there. And yeah, send them off to prison then, but take them to court, prove that the accusations are correct, and take them off the tantric guru status for a while, send them off to jail. But once they get out of jail, I want to bring them back in, because I think those guys, if they did all those mistakes, if they committed those crimes, they'd probably be pretty good teachers when they're 60, 70 years old. Maybe even the best teachers we can have. This is crazy wisdom. It is the people who've gone through the hardest things in life and failed. Yeah. They're the best possible teachers.
You mentioned mercy. You mentioned mercy as a virtue that needs to be brought back. And
that's the best.
I think that's right. I think we're very unmerciful, and we're in our attitude. And this lessens our humanity. It reduces our humanity.
Yeah, and exactly. That's the great thing with Catholicism. That's the great thing with it. It's just that to the overall grand narrative that you and I are talking about in all our conversations here, the grand narrative, I think the contribution Catholicism will make is that we need to go back to mercy, because I don't see mercy in the East. I don't see Zoroastrians as very merciful. The Buddhists certainly not, and the Taoists certainly not. So mercy is going to be incredibly important in a world where everything is being memorized. Everything catches up with you. The facts finally return.
So you have no more.
Reality is going to be the ultimate judge. And in that case, if factual reality catches up with you, mercy has to return to it. And that's exactly when you say, this guy was an asshole. He abused people sexually and called himself a tantric guru, although he was only a young guy. His talent was the right one. He was way too young to teach on the level where he assumed he could teach. So it was a narcissistic tantric guru, and it's a narcissist who's a tantric guru who's dangerous. So if you get a tantric guru who's going to teach you tantra and he's narcissistic, watch out, because he's probably going to rape and abuse you along the way. Okay? So we send him off to prison, say 20 years. We give him access to libraries while he's in prison. Say, you can study, but we're going to lock you up because you don't deserve your autonomy. You don't deserve your freedom. We lock you up. That's what you do with people. You put them in prison. And then maybe we surprise him when he gets out after 20 years and said, now you'll probably learn. And even if we still can't trust you, and you're probably going to go back to the alcohol and the drugs and all the other abuses to yourself that you did, still, you could be really valuable as a teacher. Yeah. That's how we read novels of people who fucked up their lives. We learn from them. We read these biographies that people write, and it's exactly when they failed that we learn from them. This is why I failed. This is how I failed. This was the mistake I made. And hopefully soon we're going to have these stories about all these men and women who write stories about, oh God, I think I was high myself when I was 23 and I was narcissistic and I was dying for the phallic gaze, but I wanted it to be magical. And, I didn't want anybody to make any demands on me because I thought I could get everything instantly now and then. And then finally I made the mistakes, and finally I was thrown off the stage, and I was probably even sent to prison, and I learned. And I came back, and that's what you can write an autobiography. And the beauty of the autobiography is written this way, with all the failures and mistakes, is that we can learn from it. That is crazy wisdom. And besides bringing the term Tantra to the West, you and I are also bringing the term crazy wisdom to the West, because we need to understand crazy wisdom, especially when moving to an age where the super ego injunction is going to be enormous.
Yeah.
Where
Well, the super ego injunction, meaning, as you say, there's this kind of judging mechanism which is being created.
I would even say, I think you agree with me, Andrew, that the fundamental mistake of modern politics, the fundamental flaw of modern politics that nobody's discussed is that we have the C team as politicians or the Z team. The lowest, worst possible team are the current politicians because we shot and killed all the people who should have been politicians by demanding they must be perfect. And by creating any tiny little scandal around them, we threw them out. The result of that is that the voters are themselves only to blame. The voters are guilty. It was the voters of Germany elected Adolf Hitler. It was the German people who were guilty of putting the boy Pharaoh in charge.
I was just thinking that in France, where I live, in France,
the Germans who were guilty. And it's the same thing with us today. We haven't learned. Today, we're all in the West, American, European voters alike. We're voting for little boys and little girls to be politicians because we don't allow anybody to grow up and make mistakes. And because we don't allow anybody to make mistakes, we're not electing the wise men and wise women who should be politicians.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. I was thinking that France still has a certain tolerance for, flawed humanity. Although
really? How about the yellow jackets? Hello? How about the yellow jackets and Macron?
Well, they used to anyway.
Macron all the way when it comes to that. Yeah, he may be an asshole. So what?
No, that's what I meant. Macron wouldn't be elected somewhere else because he's married to an older woman, right?
That's a good sign.
That's what I'm saying. That's a good sign. That's my point. Is that French people have a certain tolerance for eccentricity still, which I think
they don't. They don't
America.
any
no,
longer.
they don't.
They're also chill. They don't any longer. They used to. But the yellow jackets out there just prove to me they're all children too. The French have become infantilized too. And you look at French people's behavior, they no longer eat the kidneys and red wine sauce that took them 2 hours to cook. They're eating hamburgers and Subway sandwiches too.
No, that's globalism, right? I agree.
No, it's just a sign of infantilization. Just look at the number of Big Macs consumed in a culture, and you know exactly how infantilized it has become. The more fast food people eat, the more children they are. The more stupid they become. It's just facts. It's just there. You could the real Big Mac index should really be that. The more Big Macs you eat, the more stupid and childish you are. The French have gone childish too. I see children everywhere, but not the children God wants. It's not the children of God. It's not the children who want to grow up and be adults.
Overgrown children.
These are children who refuse to grow up. These are perverted children. Because the phallic intrusion is failing on a massive scale. We call this absent phallus syndrome.
Okay, so this
in our work.
So in some sense, your argument is that the Tantra and crazy wisdom, that's what we need. That's the answer.
Yes. That's why you and I decided to have a discussion today only on one word, Tantra.